Thank you, Suman, and thanks to all the participants. I am speaking on a very slightly different topic, of course, cultivating resilience, the synergy of farmers and nature in Himalayan agriculture. Because Himalayan agriculture or mountain agriculture is altogether different from the midstream agriculture or agriculture being operated in the plains of the world. And of course, from the hard um, core ecological point of view, this statement, I am reading this statement of Sundarlal Bahuguna. Man had begun writing the story of his destruction the day he plowed the earth for the first time. How and why? Let us ponder over the definition of agriculture, which is beyond the definition we are provided with. We know from the textbooks agriculture, because production is not our activity. Production in essence is a ecosystem function. We do not produce anything, because we just manage, we just manipulate, and agriculture is that kind of activity human kind executes for its own welfare, and cutting off the welfare of all other species, ignoring all other species, ignoring 8.5 million species on the planet. This is what is maintained through agriculture. Agriculture, in essence, is a manipulation of nature's biodiversity. Agricultural operations are degenerative for natural succession. Agricultural practices, they accentuate nature's retrogression. Agriculture is a nature's resilient braking system. Agriculture as a whole, in essence, is a counter evolutionary act of human species. Because from these statements, I shall arrive on at the strategies which could be promising, of course, uh, for future. Let us have a look at our the various phases of agriculture during the entire history of humankind, human civilizations. The first kind of agriculture human civilization prevailed was the primitive agriculture. Of course, that cannot be possible for us to maintain nowadays, but that kind of agriculture was very sustainable kind of agriculture. It had a reliance on uncultivated food. We had a reliance on uncultivated food. Nearly 5,000 years ago, we derived our food from as many as 5,000 types of plants. And nowadays, in the era of green revolution and beyond green revolution, we are dependent on just three crops of Gramini family or Poaceae family or grass family for more than 50% of our energy needs. So this reflects the sheer poverty from 5,000 to 5,000 types of food providing plants to three major plants. The second phase of agricultural development during human civilization was traditional agriculture, and it had a balance between uncultivated or forest land and cultivated lands. And it had one very crucial features of the traditional farming was its self-containment, because no external input was needed to be used in this kind of agriculture. All inputs, they were produced within the system, because this kind of agriculture was based on system rather than just relying on cultivated land. The next phase of agricultural development was green revolution, and it had focus on productivity, only productivity. There was no consideration of environment, no consideration of ecological processes. High yielding varieties, irrigation, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, they not only were, they are still essential inputs in this system of agriculture. And this is cash intensive, and has strong linkages with the market. And nowadays we are in a transition phase from green revolution to LPG kind of agriculture. LPG means liberalization, privatization, and globalization kind of agriculture in the agriculture in this era. So we are in this agriculture is in transition phase. We are slowly ushering into this system. This is biotechnology driven, and government is governed by global market, and this genetically modified organisms of major crops are occupying center stage of agriculture in this phase, and this is creating a stress on environment. There is no consideration of biodiversity, and there is no consideration of ecosystem health, etc. in these systems. And of course, if we put if we accommodate all these phases of agricultural development during human history, we find the most sustainable kind of agriculture was that which is towards the base of this ecological pyramid, and the most unsustainable was the one which is towards the tip of the ecological pyramid. And so we can look into this ecological pyramid, and on the basis of it, the degree of sustainability of our food production system. um, okay, of course, sustainable future, our sustainable future, sustain future of every species, the of course not only future, even the present, even the past was dependent on, even the present is dependent on, and future would be dependent on food, because we are made up of food. We are what we eat, of course. Um, so, but our sustainable future would also be dependent on agriculture, the type of agriculture we are maintaining today. And what is sustainable future? Because sustainable future is also not our activity. Future is not also our function. Future is the function of time. So future has to come on its own terms. But question is whether with us or without us. If this is with us, if it is witnessed by a healthy, vibrant, and happy humanity, it would be sustainable future. This is my perception of sustainable future, and this sustainable future uh, would be witnessed by us when we would have plenty of foods, of course, for us. What is the crux of the situation? What is the crux of our time? We have plenty of food. There is no dearth of foods. You go to market, and you would be tired of the foods. You can purchase as much food as you want. So our market, our world is full of foods, and this the food pyramid is stable. Food at the moment, food pyramid is straight, but at the cost of ecological pyramid. Ecological pyramid is hung upside down. So this food production or availability of food in our contemporary world is at the cost of ecology, at the cost of ecological processes, at the cost of our ecosystems, at the cost of nature. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so we are in a state of vicious cycle of unsustainability. Unsustainability processes, they are assumed when we advance from a ecological climax to towards the ecological disclimax. Then we are caught into a vicious cycle of unsustainability. For example, resource management. If our resource management is erroneous, the resource base would shrink, and would affect production flows. So this cycle goes on, and this fixes us into a kind of unsustainability. Okay, next. Of course, what is specificity of green revolution kind of agriculture? This is the greenery devouring sort of agriculture. Volcano pollution. We know it serves as a volcano pollution. Chemical warfare against life. This is hidden in this kind of agriculture. Extinction of seed species. मैंने बताया, I told you that only a few species are left. All most of the diversity of plants, food providing plants, that has shrunk. Agribusiness designs to put the humanity into a kind of serfdom. You must have read the suicides by Indian farmers. This is because they were in the trap of debt trap, which this agricultural system essentially requires. A shrinkage of life. of course. And of course, what are the uh, uh, outcomes of this LPG kind of agriculture? This is putting the earth onto apoptosis. Apoptosis, of course, this GMO impact on human health, we know: toxicity, allergenicity, antibiotic resistance, genetic contamination, and adaptation towards pest protection mechanisms, modification in soil ecology, genetic pollution. I call it genetic pollution, which has come through this kind of agricultural development. Ecological disintegration, of course. And agriculture of the modern days is a journey from ecological climax to ecological disclimax. And now it is advancing towards ecocidal climax, of course. And Himalayan agriculture, of course, as I told you in the beginning, that this is entirely different from the mainstream agriculture. Of course, this agriculture is not much productive, but it carries essential features of a sustainable system. Why? I shall discuss this now, because my focus is on cultivating resilience in mountain agriculture. Mountain agriculture in the Himalayan region is altogether different from the mainstream agriculture of the plains. As I told you, the Himalayan agriculture operates keeping in mind the natural mountain characteristics. These mountain characteristics are poor accessibility in mountain areas, marginality, fragility. These are three negative attributes, and then three positive attributes are diversity and heterogeneity, ecological niches, and human adaptation mechanisms. So, of course, now something about resilience, because my focus is on resilience, and resilience extends from the resilience of a single cell to the resilience of the entire biosphere. Of course, this is the ability of a system or ecosystem, or of an agro-ecosystem, to absorb disturbances or shocks, recover from them, and adapt in ways that maintain its essential functions and structures. A resilient ecosystem or agroecosystem is better equipped to maintain its ecological balance and services even in the face of changing conditions. Resilience is a precondition for sustainability. So sustainability, this resilience actually creates pathways for sustainability. If no resilience, there would be no sustainability, of course. So sustainability itself emanates from resilience of nature. Uh, Himalayan agriculture, of course, this Himalayan agriculture can be summed up in this sentence: resilience inducing sustainability, enhancing nature farmer synergy, creating management. In essence, of course, how mountain farmers cultivate resilience. Of course, resilience is a function of ecosystem, is a function of nature. Farmers do not cultivate. Farmers just reduce the processes which diminish, which reduce resilience. Farmer tries to maintain the level of resilience, because resilience itself is a function of the nature of ecosystems. They use mountain perspectives. In this way, they protect resilience of the nature. They try to protect, of course. Agroecological principles, they do apply. Agroecosystem approach, they do have agroecosystem approach, because they are not exclusively dependent on cultivated lands, or integrated farming systems. They are dependent on nature's biodiversity, agro biodiversity. They give value to common property resources. They maintain from plain areas of India and elsewhere. They have vanished. Self-containment characteristics of the agriculture, they do maintain. They are dependent on external inputs to the minimum level. Community involvement, of course, that is not a just exclusively private activity. Agriculture, this has community involvement. It traditional wisdom and local knowledge. This is very rich. This agriculture in the Himalayan area. And food sovereignty. They don't trust food security. They trust on food sovereignty, because food food security is not something independent phenomenon. This is dependent on so many factors, and this has roots in food sovereignty, because the groups of people, the people or the countries which are not even dependent on agriculture, they are more food secure than the so-called agriculture based countries. So but they don't have food sovereignty. Okay, so agriculture ecology axis of life. What is the axis of life which 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 sustains life? This is agriculture ecology axis. Agriculture is not cannot be divorced from ecology. And so agriculture has to be dependent on ecosystem. Agriculture itself is an ecosystem function, because production and productivity, this is an ecosystem function. And what is ecosystem? A life enhancing unit of nature. Life enhancing unit of nature, a mix of natural and anthropogenic ecosystems. In agriculture, in the Himalayan area, we do have uncultivated land, that is forests or rangelands, and and anthropogenic ecosystem, that is the cropland. So this is a mix uh, in Himalayan agriculture, and we can call it agroecosystem. And ecosystem is it has ecological roots of agriculture. So our agriculture has to be based on ecosystem, of course. And what is an agroecosystem? I have tried to define somewhat differently, not conventionally. An agroecosystem is an arbitrarily defined unit of nature with the distinct energy flows and chemical cycling involving uncultivated land areas, for example, forest, grassland, grazing lands, etc. Cultivated land and livestock in organic linkages with each other, woven into a complex unitary whole, functionally oriented to produce foods and other life supporting products such as feed, fiber, fuel, fertilizers, etc., and provide vital ecological functions. This is my definition of an agroecosystem. Agroecosystem crosses over or overlaps diverse ecosystems designed and managed by a farming community for production of fundamental life sustaining products. Of course, and agroecosystem, their structures and function in mountain areas, they have four components. Of course, they may have many other components also in different areas, but in Ranichori areas, what you mentioned about uh, uncultivated land, this is the component of agriculture. This is integral part of agricultural system. Cultivated land or cropland, livestock, and households. Sometimes we miss households. Households are very much part of an agro ecosystem, because households, they are the major consumers of the produce. So they must be integrated with the an agro ecosystem, because their wastes, they must be recycled into the soil from where they come. Okay, next one. Of course, this is I have tried to present it in this matrix. Forests, they are natural reserves of biodiversity, energy, water, and nutrients. Cropland, they have cultivated food grains, vegetables, fruits. Livestock, they convert forest biomass into draft power and milk, etc. I do not mention meat. uh, Households, they manage resources in and for ecological balance. Of course, and these are various linkages. So every component of the farming system, it has linkages with each other. And uncultivated land, that is forest land, that is the fertilizer factory, natural fertilizer factory, because forest, they are ecologically more stable. We don't need to give any input for the forest to grow. And this cropland is very fragile, and so the topsoil of the cropland, it needs to be fed by essential nutrients, and those nutrients, they are supplied by uncultivated land, by forest land, via livestock. And of course, livestock, they also recycle nutrients from the cropland which first are provided. Crop residues first will be used for producing milk, draft power, etc., and other functions by the livestock, and then they will recycle into the cropland through manure, via manure, of course. So this is a very integrated kind of a system, and sustainability oriented. Of course, this may not be absolutely sustainable, but this is sustainability oriented sort of system. Of course, why an agroecosystem approach? Why? Because a unification of different solar powered ecosystems into a single functional unit. A forest is a solar powered ecosystem, a cropland is a solar powered system. We have integrated both together, because we are moving. This biosphere is moving because of solar power, but solar power doesn't come on its own. It comes through photosynthesis. So we have mixed two vital solar powered ecosystems together, protecting and conserving some areas for thriving natural biodiversity, for ecological balance necessary for ecological integrity. This is essential, because only cropland cannot take care of ecological integrity. Ecological integrity means, for example, in our body, in our system, everything is linked with everything else, and there is flows of nutrients through nutrients, water, energy, of everything in our body. And for example, kidneys, they cannot function in isolation. In the same way, in nature, different components, they cannot function independently. Everything is linked with everything else, everything is related with everything else. This is the first law of ecology. Self-containment of a farming system. Essential inputs are produced within the system itself. When we when we adopt agro-ecosystem approach, shifting partial pressure for food, feed, and other life support products on uncultivated areas. Not everything is brought from the cultivated land. Increasing level of biodiversity to have bearing on the whole ecosystem, because sustainability is directly proportional to the level of biodiversity. This we know very well. Diversification of economic activities, resource conserving way of development and succession, increasing resilience and sustainability. Because of agroecosystem approach, increasing socio-cultural cohesion through common property resource management in a community-based farming system, and giving a base to food and livelihood security and sovereignty. These are the attributes of agroecosystem based agriculture. Of course, there are three key principles of agroecology. Agroecology principles, because agriculture is not as something mechanical. Agriculture is not something uh, 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 exclusively operated by means of anthropogenic activities. This is an ecosystem. This is related with ecosystem functions, and we manage those functions only uh, by managing resources, enhancing biodiversity complexity. Not number of species, but the number of ecosystem functions that species provide together. This is what is brought out through by enhancing biodiversity and complexity of the system. Treating soil as an ecosystem. Soil is not an inanimate substrate. This is not a substratum. The soil is one of the most wonderful, rather the most wonderful ecosystem on earth. Per unit volume, per unit area, per unit mass, soil ecosystem has maximum life, far more life than the uh, uh, terrestrial ecosystem. We understand this thing very well. Uh, and number three is maintaining cyclic flows of nutrients. These are ecological principles which lead to the development of a sustainable agricultural system. And of course, biodiversity complexity, what are its attribute? Enhanced pollination, because pollination is also essential. Pollination is also maintains ecological integrity. For no pollinators, many food providing plants will go extinct. So we also need to rear pollinators in our systems. So enhanced pollination because of biodiversity, reduced risks of parasites, therefore plant protection. So there are natural barriers in nature, and biodiversity creates those natural barriers to combat parasites and other this one insects. Protection to beneficial insects. Biodiversity provides protection to beneficial insects. Uh, Enhanced resilience, soil and water conservation, synergism, almost no pollution because ultimate waste ends up as a nutrient culture for the soil. Because organic waste, they are used as the culture medium for the microorganisms in the soil. So in that way, there is no waste in this kind of agriculture. More health per unit area because of higher level of biodiversity due to diverse foods accrued from biodiversity. Of course, and what are the attributes of nutrient flows? Flows of nutrients through direct transfer of forest biomass, through dry leaves and leaf litter, flow of nutrients through livestock, flow of forest nutrients through rainwater and through winds, recycling the nutrients of crop residues as manure, and recycling the nutrients into fields as biogas slurry. These are various pathways of nutrient flows in this system. If there are no forests, then the nutrients factory would vanish, of course, and we would require nutrients to be bought from the market. And of course, productivity is an ecosystem function. Our modern agriculture is based on the principle of productivity, and we seek this productivity in miracle seeds, in GM crops, etc. But this productivity is not on account of those seeds, not on account of high yielding varieties, not on account of BT crops. This is productivity itself is a function. If your ecosystem is collapsed, then those so-called high yielding varieties will not be able to express their potential. So potential is expressed through the health of an ecosystem. So the key factor of agriculture must be the health of an ecosystem, not the seed. Seed can be important, but its potential cannot be realized if the ecosystem is not healthy enough. Of course, these are three traits of a sustainable agriculture. It must be ecologically vibrant. It must be economically viable, not economically exploitative. Economically viable and culturally just. These three major traits, of course, and the resilience enhancing strategies in mountain areas. For example, these are the resources inside. These are the resources, land resources, for example, common property resources, livestock resources. In Baranaja culture, this is a kind of because so many crops, they are sown together and they create synergy. These are the management practices of farmers. For example, community-based farming system approach, on-farm biodiversity conservation, farmers' knowledge, strategies, and innovations. They keep flowing. They keep prevailing in mountain farming system. And now there is cycle of sustainability. It depends on living soil, biodiversity, complexity, and one component enhances other component. A cycle flows of nutrients, and we add nutrient increment from forests. If forests, they are associated, if they are part of agricultural system, if they are part of an agro ecosystem, as they must be, then they would be um, adding nutrients to the cropping system, to the croplands. So this would create cycle of sustainability. Sustainability doesn't go in linear fashion. Sustainability also goes in a cyclic fashion. Of course, and of course, sovereignty is more important than food security, and food security principle must be rooted into food sovereignty, because food security is not an isolated phenomenon. Food sovereignty is more important, and food. I have tried to defend. I have elicited this definition of food sovereignty from an NGO of Forum for Food Sovereignty based in Rome. So, of course, uh, and cyclic of happiness. What is happiness? I am coming to conclusion. If I am taking more time, please stop me. Uh, what it must be the outcome of everything, every product, every project, every program, every policy, every idea. Ultimate, it is happiness. If we are not deriving happiness for ourselves, for our society, for our nation, for our world, then we must review our projects, our activities, our programs, our policies. So the cycle of happiness goes hand in hand with sustainability. If we see that our future is secure, naturally we shall be happy. So the roots of our happiness, they lie in the future, and future is dependent on the present, and we are the architects of our future. Future doesn't come on its own. We are the architects, of course. Uh, Food sovereignty, ecological integrity, and sustainability. They create a cycle of happiness. So there is every reason to be happy with this cycle. Of course, and if they agriculture is not about technology, agriculture is not about something else. Agriculture is all about what I call agro-eco philosophy, means agriculture, ecology, and philosophy. They are combined together. And this agro-eco philosophy, this creates ecological consciousness. Ecological consciousness generates ecological responsibility, which in turn leads to ecological action. And then ecological action leads to ecological justice, and ecological justice to it creates the sphere of ecological culture, and ecological culture creates the broad sphere of ecological affluence. And our sustainability, our sustainable future, our present agriculture, our happiness, they all lie in ecological affluence. And with ecological affluence on earth, we can also regenerate biosphere on another planets and moons. This is also our responsibility. Okay, of course, I think this is last one. We are made up of all organisms are made up of, the whole biosphere is made up of, and the evolution goes on. The natural evolution goes on these conditions. If life, if biosphere, if a cell, if we human beings, if all organisms are regarded as a some tribahu tribhuj. I am talking in Hindi, means equilateral triangle. Its base is nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen is a component of protein, and protein is a structural component. So all structures, biostructures, they are made up of protein largely. And the other two arms are made up of photosynthesis and chemosynthesis. If we fortify these processes, of course they do not get fortified on their own, because you can think that we are the products of our parents, of course, but of these processes controlled by through genetic control. So upper tip is made up of genetic control, and two other tips of this triangle are made up of environment and climate. So this is the essence of life. If we fortify, if we increase to the maximum level nitrogen fixation, chemosynthesis, and photosynthesis, we cannot fortify them directly. We need to manage our resources in the fashion which must lead to the enhancement of these three processes. Then we shall win everything on our planet. We shall we shall uh, we shall make life on our planet intact, and we shall be able to create the conditions for ecological integrity, and we shall be able to to generate a sustainable future, not only for us but for entire life in the biosphere. And thank you very much.